So what's the name again? The Immaculate Grid is baseball. What's the football one? The crossover.
Yep.
And what's the basketball one?
The football and basketball are together on the crossover.
They're both in the crossover.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to find Spurs who also played for the Sixers?
Pistons, yeah.
Sixers
and the Pistons? All right, so if anybody knows anybody who randomly played for both the Spurs and the Sixers, please get into our YouTube chat, DM us, apply to join us on LinkedIn. You can go to our Comcast business text line. You can call us, text us, or show up at our office. Any one of those things are fine. That's what Doc Pandya does, right? It shows up everywhere we are, and we love that because it's time for Cleared to Play. We're going to take you inside the tent, get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment, and bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya. Hello, Doc. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're fantastic. Can I give you one that's completely, and sorry to borrow the grid phrase, but this is a little off the grid with regard, because it's not a Bay Area injury. It's an injury that we wished was in the Bay, and that belongs to not Arson Judge, but Aaron Judge. I read that this toe injury, not only it might be a surgery, it might not be, but also it was insinuated it might never be the same again. Why would that be the case?
Yeah, I think that these, people hear big toe, and if you read the New York media, they're all like, just suck it up, Aaron Judge, you'll be fine. It's a pretty severe injury, and part of it is that these ligaments that kind of stabilize the big toe, they help with push-off, they help with all the things you do when you're batting, running, etc. So when you're walking around, it can feel fine, but you need it really to generate that force. The issue is that the longer you go without those ligaments being stable or try to treat this without surgery, they're going to start being wear and tear in that joint. And when that big toe starts getting wear and tear in it, then you start worrying about, are you going to develop arthritis in that? And that's really the key thing, is do you take that risk right now, try to play through it, be ineffective, and then start wearing down that joint, or do you get surgery fixed? But even with surgery, is the tension and how that joint is stabilized get impacted? So these big toe injuries are a very big deal, particularly for bigger players who play baseball and use that big foot to plant, especially when they're hitting. But definitely it's something that we get very concerned about. But it's hard for people to grasp because they're like, it's just the big toe. Why should that be? Why should that be such a big problem?
More damaging for it to be on the right foot as a right-hand hitter or the left foot as a right-hand hitter in terms of the drive or the plant?
It's more impactful being on that right foot because that back foot particularly kind of has to plant up, particularly when you're going through your swing. So if it was his left foot, he could probably play with it. But when it's on that back foot as a right-handed batter, it's really hard to generate force. And that big toe needs to be able to bend and be stabilized in order to do the things that make Aaron Judge really good.
Doc, is it rational or irrational the way we're all assuming that Chris Paul is just going to get hurt like pretty much as soon as he shows up? Like what's the likelihood? What's the right way for the Warriors to manage this?
I think it's a little bit irrational. I mean, I think even if you look at Chris Paul's injury history over the past couple of years, when he's been with the Suns, you see these random things that happen to him. He breaks a finger or he ends up getting hit in the shoulder, like things that are clearly not related to him playing a lot. Early in his career, he had those soft tissue injuries, the hamstrings, the groins, and things like that. So I think as long as the Warriors come in and drop him down to maybe, say, 20 to 25 minutes from his career average, which is 34 minutes per game, I think he's going to be fine. He's shown a tendency to be healthy even with those big minutes, barring these random things that have happened over the past couple of years. So as long as they manage his minutes, whether he's starting or playing the second unit, as long as he's playing 20, 25 minutes, takes back-to-backs off, I think there's a high likelihood he's going to be absolutely fine. I just feel that they're looking at the Chris Paul from the Rockets who always got injured, not the Chris Paul who just had bad luck, not related to wear and tear over the past couple seasons.
Tyro Estrada, bad luck getting hit on the hand while batting, but luckily he had a little bit of a soft cast on there, which might have lessened the blow, but still fractured hand, the left hand, the lower hand. How bad is that for a hitter?
It's pretty problematic, and hand fractures in general take 4 to 6 weeks to heal, regardless of whether you get surgery or not. So I think part of that is just you need that grip on the bat, and that's really the key thing. Is that whenever you're a batter, you break a hand, even if it's not a area that's very important in terms of batting or generating power. If you can't grip, then it's going to be problematic, and also you get worried about, is that going to get hit again? Are people going to be pitching near that hand, and is he going to change his swing because of that? So 4 to 6 weeks is going to take a while, whether it's a big break or a small break, and it's going to be hard for him to come back earlier because that grip is definitely going to be impacted.
Doc, what'd you make of Anthony DeSclafani basically saying that he was dragging as he's trying to sort of make his way through even just to the halfway point of the season, and he ended up on the injured list because of it? What's the level of concern?
I definitely am concerned. I mean, anytime you have a pitcher who's throwing shoulder, is having fatigue or just kind of feeling like his performance is not going to be as well, and that's reflected in his ERA. I think it's like 6.02 over his last 11 appearances. You get worried because shoulder fatigue is indicative of there may be something bigger going on, whether that means stiffness setting in because there's a cartilage injury, there's something going on with the rotator cuff. And one of the things we do know is that when pitchers start getting shoulder issues, if you don't address it, then the next thing to go is your ulnar collateral ligament, and that's going to be a Tommy John issue. So anything that's going to throw off mechanics, anything that's leading to fatigue, you worry about an elbow issue. But sometimes these shoulder things can take a couple months to get better. So definitely something that's particularly concerning for someone who's over 30, already having declining performance, and actually has never had shoulder issues in the past. So that's another warning sign. It's not something that he's dealt with off and on and been able to come back from. It's a new issue that's popping up.
The great Doc Pandya, are you playing this NBA grid crossover thing? Do you know anyone who's played for the Sixers and the Spurs?
I did a quick Google search while I was coming on, and I couldn't find anyone. I don't think they're off the top of my head, unless it was the 70s or 80s. I can't think of anybody.
Yeah. I figured you might be the guy, right? Because you probably would have tweeted that person plays basketball tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, at some point in the Twitter history, yes.
Yeah. And you went on Threads already, too, didn't you?
I saw Bonte go on it, so I was like, if Bonte is going on it, I got to go on. And then I saw Dan. Dan followed me. I'm waiting for you, Mark. I'm waiting for you to get on.
Yeah, I haven't gotten over there yet, but I subscribe to life the same way you do. Whatever Bonte does, I do.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I did tweet out my first jersey in the cart thread. I guess I called it. I tweeted out a thread or threaded.
Yeah.
You threaded out. I don't know.
You threaded the needle on the thread. Lester Quinones, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly, the Jordan Poole prototype, as we like to say.
I love it.
There it is.
I love it. We'll see you in Vegas, Doc.
Exactly.
Doc, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
Okay, take care, guys. Yeah.
All right, the proceeding was sponsored by UCSF Health.
I think you threaded.
Doc Pandya.